You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu sei la luce di Dio.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu sei il volto dell'amore.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love.
The face of love.
I hold you in my heart. You are my family.
You are my family.
You are the face of
the face of love.
You are the face of love.
The face of love.
I hold you in my heart.
You in my heart.
You are my family.
You are my family.
You are the face of love.
The face of love.
You are the face of God.
The face of God.
I hold you in my heart.
You in my heart.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
The face of God.
You are the face of God.
Eres la luz de Dios.
I hold you in my heart.
Eres la cara del amor.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face
Tu
of
sei la luce di Dio.
You are the face
You
of
are the
God.
face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of
es
God.
l'image de Dieu.
You are the face
You
of God.
are the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of
sei
God.
la luz de Dios.
You are the face
You
of God.
are the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of God.
ruh khudai.
You are the face
You
of God.
are the face of God.
You are the face of God.
Eres la luz de Dios.
You are the face of You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu sei la luce di Dio.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu sei il volto dell'amore.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love.
The face of love.
I hold you in my heart. You are my family.
You are my family.
You are the face of
love. The face of love.
You are the face of love.
The face of love.
I hold you in my heart.
You in my heart.
You are my family.
You are my family.
You are the face of love.
The face of love.
You are the face of God.
The face of God.
I hold you in my heart.
You in my heart.
You are a part of me.
A part of me.
You are the face of God.
The face of God.
You are the face of God.
Eres la luz de Dios.
I hold you in my heart.
Eres la cara del amor.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face
Tu
of
sei la luce di Dio.
You are the face
You
of
are the
God.
face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of
es
God.
l'image de Dieu.
You are the face
You
of God.
are the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of
sei
God.
la luz de Dios.
You are the face
You
of God.
are the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of God.
ruh e khudai.
You are the face
You
of
are the face of God.
You are the face of
Eres la luz de Dios.
You are the face of
Good morning. Happy Father's Day and welcome to Spiritual Life Center, a church that love is building.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Let us pray. Dear God, I give thanks for fathers. I recognize the dedication and patience it takes to be a source of compassion and understanding when helping to shape a young life. Bless all fathers, especially those who are new in this sacred role. I pray they feel your presence with them. May they know that your strength and wisdom are within them, providing all they need to guide and support their children with kindness and love. As affirmed in Isaiah 41:10, I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you. And so it is. Amen.
We plow the fields and scatter the good seed on the land, but it is fed and watered by God's almighty hand. He sends a snow in winter, the warmth to swell the grain, the breezes and the sunshine, and soft, refreshing rain. All good gifts around us are sent from heaven above. So thank the Lord, oh thank the Lord for his love. We thank thee then, O Father, for all things bright and good, the seed time and the harvest, our life, our health, our food. No gifts we have to offer, for all thy love imparts, but that which thou dearest, our humble, thankful hearts. All good gifts around us are sent from heaven above. So thank the Lord, oh thank the Lord for his love. All good gifts around us are sent from heaven above. So thank the Lord, oh thank the Lord for his love, for his love.
In Isaiah 55, verse 12, for you shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills before you break forth in singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. I thank you, God, for this new day, for the freedom to start again. I consciously let go of any feelings that are not of God, any hurts, resentments, fears. I ask that you open my heart, God. Make me an instrument of your peace and joy and dignity. Let me live my life for good and add to the music of the spheres. And now I invite you to join me as we prepare for a meditation. And let us start by allowing our breathing to just let us relax. And ask your mind to be still. You may want to close your eyes to the distractions and focus only within. Let us turn to that quiet place where all of life's answers are. God is with me now in this very place. I now know that this is a place, wherever that might be, And it's the right place for me because God is here. Oh God, how many times have I searched here and there, looking for answers, for guidance, for direction. And all the time, you, the source of all wisdom, was never farther away than breathing. My life is about remembering and forgetting. I consciously remember now the purpose of my human birth, and that is to still my mind, to just listen, and to remember the truth about me. There is a place within that the ancients have called the Holy of Holies. I dwell in that place with you now, and I feel your presence. Let us join together as we take a moment of silence and focus within. Your hands have made and fashioned me, Lord. Give me understanding that I may learn your commandments, to know your desires for me, for my life. You have created me, fashioned me in your image and likeness. My soul just longs to know you better, to love you more, so that I may serve you using the gifts that are uniquely mine. Within each of us is contained a great life, with real gifts to give and to share that will make a difference in the world. And so we continue to open to this great love that each of us carries within. As we take time each day to listen, we come to see that our part is important, a part of a greater whole designed to bring peace and harmony, joy and love to a world in need. As I continue to open myself to your directions, Lord, my capacity to love and to give, to share myself with my world increases. As I come alive with your spirit, my fears dissolve. My life becomes the exciting adventure it was meant to be. As we go back into our day, into our world, let us remember that God is in every moment, in every circumstance. God speaks through us, works through us, loves through us, and God blesses others through us. We are creating new lives because of the choices we are making. And so with grateful hearts for our lives and the miracles that are yet to come, let us sing and pray together the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Back when I was a child, before life removed all the innocence, my father would lift me high and dance with my mother and me, and then spin me around till I fell asleep. Then up the stairs he would carry me, and I knew for sure I was loved. If I could get another chance, another walk, another dance with him, I'd play a song that would never ever end. How I'd love, love, love to dance with my father again. When I and my mother would disagree, to get my way I would run from her to him. He'd make me laugh just to comfort me, then finally make me do just what my mama had said. Later that night when I fell asleep, he left $1 under my sheet. Never dreamed that he would be gone from me. If I could steal one final glance, one final step, one final dance with him, I'd play a song that would never ever end. 'Cause I'd love, love, love to dance with my father again. I know I'm praying for much too much, but could you send back the only man she loved? I know you don't do it usually, but dear Lord, she's dying to dance with my father again. Every night I fall asleep, and this is all I ever dream.
Nancy, what beautiful singing this morning. Thank you so much. All good gifts from Godspell and the Luther Vandross song, Dance with My Father. A man was crossing a field to the tavern, and he looked behind him, and there was his son. And the son said, "Look, Dad, I'm following in your footsteps." Immediately, the dad turned around and headed back home. A good father models responsible living for his children. Becoming a father is easy enough, but being one can be rough. On top of being a provider, protector, and playmate, it is a father's job to be strong but gentle, decisive but fair, and to be a friend. It is also a father's responsibility to see that his children learn to use their abilities to the fullest. The ideal father enforces his rules by the example of his life. Insights sometimes come slowly, especially insight into oneself. I was in ministry for years before it dawned on me how different my Mother's Day messages were from my Father's Day talks. Mother's Day found me lauding motherhood, while Father's Day was a time to call fathers forth to responsible living. But on the day it dawned to me how differently I treated Father's Day from Mother's Day, I also became aware that the guilt-inducing talks on Father's Day came out of my own stuff, my own sense of failure. Guilt I felt for not being all that I might have been as a father. I've worked through this and now am able to feel good about myself and also, for the most part, about fathering in general, especially the younger fathers during these recent generations, including our own sons and grandsons, nephews, and other loved ones. A little boy named James Johnson went out to play one day with his little red truck. And he was out enjoying himself as youngsters do when along came 3 older boys and started to rough him up, started to knock him around a little bit, shook him up pretty bad, took his truck, and he ran home crying. And he went up to his father, and his dad was a very tall man. James always said that his dad was the strongest man in the universe. And he explained to his dad what the boys had done. And his dad said, "I'll handle this, Jimmy. We'll take care of those boys." Well, Jimmy loved hearing this. And he said, "Yeah, Dad, you get him from one side, I'll get him from the other. Let's go." So they walked around the block, came across the 3 boys. And his father went up to them and said, "Fellows, I want you to know that James and I forgive you and that we love you." And he turned and walked away. Well, James followed him, but he was totally upset. This isn't what he expected his father to do. This was no way to handle the situation. They got home, and Jim was very sad. He went to his room, and he thought to himself, how did I come across getting a father who's a coward? And he sat there in his room, feeling very bad. And about a half an hour later, the doorbell rang. And he went and answered it. And here were the 3 boys. They handed him his truck. It was all shined up. And they said, "Jim, we want you to know that we forgive you and we love you." And James said, "Well, thank you for the truck, but what does that mean, what you're saying?" And the older boy said, "Well, I don't know what it means, but it felt so good when your dad said it. We wanted to say it to you." This father was providing a wonderful lesson of how to forgive, how to give forth good in return for the evil that has been dealt you. A good father demonstrates love and forgiveness to his children. A woman who lives upstairs in our building joined us on our patio recently and was telling us about her husband, who she described as being a marvelous father to their 4 children, 3 girls and a boy, that he had joined her there for a couple of years before he passed on. And when she learned that we are ministers, she said, I want to tell you something that I've only shared rarely about my deceased husband. You see, he was the CEO, he was the chief executive officer of a major organization of hospitals. And he was, for more than 25 years, the top man in the hospital. But something happened a few years after he got that position. She said, I'll never forget when it happened, how it happened. You see, that summer, for maybe 8 weeks or so, he had been dealing with a physical event that happened to him, and it had caused him great distress. He was very anxious. And he had gotten a prescription, had gone to the drugstore, and we were driving home with this tranquilizer that he was about to take when we got home. And he stopped the car, turned to me, and said, we're going to go home, but I know what I have to do. And it's not to take that tranquilizer. We're going to throw that out. She didn't understand, but when they got home, he got out the Bible and he began to read the Bible, and he settled down. He said, I don't feel anxious. I don't feel depressed at all right now. And he went on in the days to come, reading the Bible frequently. And he had been a man who had attended church sometimes, but all of a sudden he began to attend regularly, and he became invested in his spirituality. He started to take classes to learn what it meant, what he was reading in the Bible. He became very active in the church. He started up prayer groups, including prayer groups within the hospitals that he was heading up. He taught our 4 children about spirituality. He said this experience had transformed his life and that he never again dealt with anxiety or depression. Now, everyone has their own way of coming into connection with God. But the good Father teaches his children the vital importance of living a spiritual life. There was a story that was told by Dan Clark, the writer, and he said it was a story that personified his dad. Yet he said when it happened, his dad probably thought thereafter that Dan would never again remember it. You see, he said, we were, my dad and I, going to the circus one afternoon, and we got in line. There were a lot of people waiting to buy tickets, and finally we got to the point where there was one family between us and the ticket counter. And there was a very large family. There were some 8 kids and their parents in front of us. And you could tell by looking at them that they didn't have a lot of money. Their clothes were clean, but inexpensive. But the father and the mother were very proud to be taking their children for the first time to the circus. And the kids were so excited. They were shouting about how wonderful it would be to see the clowns and the elephants. And once they got to the front of the line, the tickets counter said, "How many tickets do you need?" And he said, "I need 8 children's tickets and 2 adults so that I can take my family to the circus." And he was very proud, and his wife was on his arm and looking up to him like her knight in shining armor. And all of a sudden he said, "How much would that be?" And the clerk told him, and his face dropped, and his wife's arm dropped off of him. Well, how do you deal with a situation where you're taking your family to the circus, but you can't afford to buy the tickets? Well, Dan said, my father observed what was happening, and all of a sudden he reached in his pocket, dropped a $20 bill onto the ground, and he said, "Sir," picking it up, he said, "I think you dropped this." And the man turned around, took the $20 bill, and with his lip quivering and a tear coming down his eyes, took both hands of my dad and said, "Oh, sir, thank you. Thank you. You don't know what this means." Now, Dan said, our family was not wealthy by any means, and we were not able to go to the circus that evening. We went home without doing so, but we went home deeply satisfied. A good father demonstrates to his children kindness toward others and support of others. There were 2 boys who early in the last century, more than a century ago, were in England near a field. And one of the boys was actually leading a horse, plowing, tilling the soil. And the other boy was nearby, but off to the side of the field in a river, and was enjoying himself, splashing, having a good old time, when all of a sudden his voice got excited, anxious, and he screamed, save me, I'm drowning." And the boy who was plowing behind the horse ran off into the water, grabbed the young man, pulled him back onto shore, revived him, saved his life. Well, about a year later, a man came and said, "Son, are you the young man who saved the life of my son?" And the young man said, "Yes, I was on the shore and I went in and got him, but anyone could have done it." The man said, "Well, I want to ask you, what is it, if you had all the money in the world, that you would like to do?" The young man said, "Well, I know it's not possible because we're a very poor family, but if I had all the money I wanted to, I would become a doctor. And not only become a doctor, but I would study medicine and provide drugs that would help people, because the people in our town here are dying and they need help medically." The father of the boy who had been saved from drowning said, "Well, you are going to be able to be a doctor if you want to, because I'm going to see that you have all the funds you need to go through medical school." Now, this happened to be the father of Winston Churchill, who was telling how grateful he was that his son, Winston, had been saved by this young man. Fast forward many years. It was a date in February 1945, and Roosevelt, Stalin, and Churchill were preparing to meet at Yalta for a conference that was promising to be world-changing in its impact. Except there was one problem. Winston Churchill was very ill. He was probably not going to be able to attend. He was so sick. Well, a prescription was provided by his doctor for penicillin, which had come along recently and was saving many lives. And it saved the life of Winston Churchill. The person who had developed penicillin was Alexander Fleming, the same man who had saved Winston Churchill's life many years previously. A good father sets his children free and does the right thing without necessarily publicizing his heroic deeds. At one point in his ministry, Jesus sent his disciples out 2 by 2 and charged them to take nothing for their journey except a staff, sandals, and a tunic. Like a good father, he was preparing them for the tough years of evangelism which lay ahead. His final words to them were, "Go out into the world, make disciples of all nations, baptize and teach them." And then, just as God had said to Moses at Sinai, Jesus said to his disciples, "Remember, I am with you always." And that's the message a good father always conveys. Remember, I am with you always. I'll close with a story that makes this point so well. It's a fascinating and true story that comes out of the 1989 massive earthquake, which almost flattened Armenia. You see, in just 4 minutes, more than 30,000 lives were lost at that time. And when it happened, a father raced over to his son's school and saw that it had been flattened as a pancake. And he remembered that he had told his son, "Son, I will always be there for you. Just remember that." And he didn't know quite what to do. There was nothing possible, it seemed, and yet he raced to the back and the right side where his son's classroom had been, and he started to dig. And he dug for hours, pulling out rubble, pulling out big boulders. And it seemed an impossible task, and people were coming along and saying, "Oh, my son, my daughter, they're gone. There's nothing that can be done." And he said, "Help me." But he was by himself. Even the police and the firemen said, "It's not even worth doing this. Go home. Grieve at home." But he kept digging. He dug for hours and hours. He dug for 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours. And finally, in the 38th hour, he pulled another boulder off. And there was his son, Armand. And he shouted, "Armand!" And his son said, "Dad, I'm here." And he turned to the other youngsters and said, see, I told you my dad would come and we'd all be okay. The message of every dad is, no matter what, I'll be there for you. And so it is. Amen. And now, we invite you, including all fathers, to enjoy this Guy music, which happens to be one of my favorites, by Tom Butwin and his fabulous band.
I used to rule the world, seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone, sweep the streets I used to own. Let's go! I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen as the crowd would sing. And now that your king is dead, long live the king. One minute I held the key, next the walls fall on me, and I discover that my castle stands upon pillars of salt, pillars of sand. I hear Jerusalem bells ringing, Roman cavalry choirs singing. Be my mirror, my sword, my shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, I don't say Peter will call my name, never an honest word. That was when I ruled the world. Was the wicked and wild wind blew down the doors to let me in. Shadowed windows and the sound of drums. Well, people couldn't believe what I've become. Revolutionary's way. For my head on a silver plate, I'm just a puppet on a lonely string. Yeah, who would ever wanna be king? Let's go. I hear Jerusalem bells ringing, Roman cavalry choirs singing. Be my mirror, my sword, my shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, I know St. Peter will call my name, never an honest word, but that was when I ruled the world. Can you sing something with me? All you gotta do is follow my good friend Justin over here. We're gonna get this going. Here we go. Let's go. Whoa, whoa. Shield, my missionaries in a foreign
thank you so much for that wonderful music. We really enjoyed it. And now we're delighted that you have shared this experience with us today, and we hope it has inspired you and provided you inspiration for your spiritual path. And we invite you to bless this service by joining with us in our prayer of sharing. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And we invite you, if you are able to bless us not only with your prayers and support, but also with your financial assistance. There are 3 ways that you might support the church. The first is through online giving, through our secure website, www.slctroy.com/give. The second is by mailing a check or money order to Spiritual Life Center, 41340 Fox Run Road, number 106, Novi, Michigan, 48377. And the third is to call my cell at 248-925-6214 with one-time charge of credit card information. We would be most grateful. And we want to welcome any newcomers, anyone who's watching this for one of your first times. And we would invite you to join our email list, which will allow you to stay up to date on the activities of the church. You can do this by visiting our website, www.slctroy.com, and click Join Email List up in the upper right-hand corner. And this will allow us to keep you informed of what's happening here at the church. If you have prayer requests, feel free to send those to myself at ronaldfscott@gmail.com or call my cell 248-925-6214. And we will not only pray with you and have our powerful prayer team pray with you, but also we will send these on to Silent Unity, where they will be prayed over for 30 days. You will be amazed at the outcomes that can happen as a result. In addition, you may call Silent Unity at any time, 24/7, to speak with a prayer chaplain. And to do so, just dial 1-800-NOW-PRAY. We want you to know that next Sunday, June 27th, will be a special service because the message will be provided by our dear Ray Santorini. What a special man he is. And anytime Ray will be speaking, I will be listening. Finally, we would invite you to join our Zoom coffee hour at 11 o'clock this morning or immediately following the service. You should have received an email with a link for this time of connection. And if not, just contact us and we'll get that information. And now, please join us in our peace song and benediction. God bless.
Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now as you go forth, know that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you.
The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The power of God protects you.
The Lord make his face to shine upon thee, and be gracious unto thee.
The presence of God watches over you.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee, and grant thee peace.
Wherever you are, God is.
Amen. Amen.
Go your way rejoicing. All is truly well.